This is Tell Me Something Good About Retail with Bob Phibbs, the retail doctor. The champion for a more human connection in retail for over 30 years as a retail doctor. Bob is the authority on brick and mortar retail across the world, who works with some of the biggest luxury brands to independent retailers of all sizes.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us on the podcast today. I am so excited because I am speaking again with Ann Ruckstuhl, Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer at Manhattan Associates. She is the educator and chief. Welcome, Ann.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted to be here, Bob.
We spoke a couple years ago, and a question I didn't get around to at that time was, what was your start in retail? And, also, you've been in tech for like 30 years. So what advice would you give female professionals aimed at leadership roles in tech and retail?
Okay, here's my baby story then. My first retail job was with a department store called Burdines.
Oh,
For
sure.
those people that live on the southeast, that was like the awesome department store. I was a sales associate and I was in the children's department.
Okay.
So I can tell you, I spent a lot of time in the back room, not just display, servicing customers and stuff like that, cute kids. But I gotta tell you, Beanie Babies, little baby socks, little toys. My goodness gracious, I did not like inventory taking. I like clienteling, but that was my first job at Burdines, high
Wow.
school. Yeah, great job.
And you're still in back office. You're still in the back figuring out how it all works together, huh?
Well, I've been trying to get rid of the dark dungeon that's in the back room forever, trying to figure out the role of technology so we can spend more time enjoying interaction and advising customers doing actual retailing
Yeah.
instead of doing the grunt work, right? That's what
Yeah.
we all hope to do. Yes.
Well, and you've had such a career. I mean, what does it take to rise to that leadership, particularly as a young woman? 30 years ago, that's a very different market than what we see right now, right?
Oh, well, it's been a very indirect route, if you will. So you may know I'm a big geek. So I'm actually engineer, electrical engineer, and I literally spent 30 plus years in Silicon Valley. And I consider myself extremely lucky because I had a front row seat to all the cool stuff that's happened and reshaped how we live, how we socialize, and how we entertain ourselves. So I was a supercomputer product manager.
Wow.
Then I went into security, middleware, transaction processing, and then I started with a my second startup with a payment company, which was person-to-person credit card payments, and we sold it to eBay. So I was at eBay in the late 90s, early 2000, and this is when you have the world became a marketplace, right? And you have different categories from collectibles, fashion, obviously, to auto parts. But my career has meandered through pretty much the computing aspect of technology. But I have to say, I enjoy B2C at eBay. I love the retail part of that. So there's not a surprise, I guess. We all ended up where we deserve to end up because if you follow your instinct, you kind of follow your nose, then you end up where you're supposed to end up. So I'm tickled pink to be here in Manhattan, where I get supply chain and commerce connected so retail can be seamless because at the end of the day, you need your inventory to be delivered. Otherwise, you can't book revenue, can you? So
And
yeah, now I get to do the whole kit and caboodle. It's pretty cool.
and you can still geek out on all those things, Ann. I
Yeah,
do
just
not
don't
geek
get
out
me.
on technology.
There are
You like
days my kids will go, okay, mom, temper your enthusiasm. You don't have to explain things back to the Genesis days. You don't have to get down all the way to the semiconductor level. Okay, let's just talk reality.
That's
So
right.
yeah,
It
so
works.
It does work. I do know how things work. Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
I love that. I love that. Well, we're talking today about the Unified Commerce Report. And, I kind of need the why was it created? How was the data collected? And why? So if you could get that out of the way, then we can talk about some of the findings. How's that?
Yeah, sure. I think the whole thing started with a very simple premise, which is how do we serve today's consumer in retail? Serve them, hopefully entertain them, capture their mind share, and also capture their wallet share and build an ongoing relationship going forward. How do you do that? It's a very simple real value proposition, right? When it turns out to do this, you have to go where the consumers are. And you and I, just like anybody else, I used to be like shopping in the store. Then obviously with eBay, all the other companies I've been at, you shop online. And then lately, I spend a lot of time on Instagram. So social commerce is popping up, and then using the word popping up, even holiday time or Mother's Day, whatever, you have a bunch of pop-ups, right, as well. So how do you serve the customers? Know your consumers. They don't have to keep declaring, "Hi, I'm Ann." I go to a different store, "Hi, I'm Ann." I go online, "Hi, I'm Ann." And whatever I put into my wish book and my shopping cart does not transfer, right? It's a very disjointed experience. So this whole unified commerce thing came about was because how do you demystify for retailers how to do it right? And it turns out it sounds complicated, but there's a method to it. And the method to it is, I call it the Connect Four, like the game. You don't win until you do the Connect Four, which is you have to have a unified shopping experience. So it doesn't matter where they shop, the channel keeps moving. Next thing we know, it's going to be in my VR glass. Okay. And I can just let me maybe blink 3 times to confirm the transaction, whatever the case might be. So shopping has to be unified, right? The whole checkout payment experience have to be unified. Um, by the way, half the not US, global population is going to be using digital wallet in about 3 years.
Wow.
Half of the world global population. So contactless payment, digital wallets comes with authentication, of course, usually biometrics driven. But so you got to give them a unified checkout experience and then unified delivery and fulfillment experience. So I can say I buy online, but ship it to the store so I can pick it up because that's something else I want to do. Ship it to me directly, ship it to a locker, whatever the case might be. That whole concept is changing. And by the way, can you combine my I don't know, my hot chicken order with my shopping order in this one mall so that either Instacart or Uber Eats or Amazon did that for a while, right? That they can combine all my stuff into one. So I get my flowers for Mother's Day, my buckets of chicken, and my
Diamond
latest,
necklace.
yeah, that there we go, diamond necklace. One can always hope. All right, so you can do that, and then lastly, unify customer service, right? And and we don't have to say how long have it been? We've been talking for about what 5 minutes. We haven't even say the word AI. Thank God. Okay, but it
It's
is
coming.
changing things, right? So I expect instant resolution, instant modification on my orders, and I want it 24/7 because you never know when somebody actually, is their prime hours. So that the whole journey, shopping, checkout payments, promising fulfillment to post-purchase customer service, you have to do all 4 things correctly to really win the mind share, the wallet share of
Yeah.
moi, the consumer, and I'm easy. I mean, our kids, these guys are like high expectation on top of it, right? So, yeah. So that was really the genesis of unified commerce. And it so happened it's something I think all the retailers care about. But it was very much talked about in a very aspirational way. Well, there's a way to operationalize it. And it turns out nowadays, if you don't operationalize it and do those 4 things correctly, um, just read the news, consolidations, bankruptcies. This is a tough space. So Google Cloud, which is great partner of ours, and then we love this research company called Incisive, who had the methodology to actually kind of benchmark all the retailers. In the US, we benchmark over 200. and the rest of the world together, easily over 500 retailers. And we benchmark how they, 300 attributes across those 4 areas. And we benchmark how they do shopping, how they deliver shopping experiences, right? And how they do checkout, all of that. But we do 8 shopping trips. So 5 online and 3 in stores. And if you have a suburb versus an urban store, we make sure that we, get that as well. But it's the full Monty. It's the full transaction. We buy, we return, we shop, we complain, we do this and we do that. So it massages all the possible commerce activities that consumer would do with the retailer. So you get a score across the 8 shopping trip per attribute, and there are 300 some attributes. So this is what I call ghost shopping on steroids. And this is not somebody self-report and go, oh, I think I do this well, but I don't do this other thing as well. No, no, no. This is like everybody had the same exact, I don't want to say exam, but kind of is.
It's a mystery
It's
shop.
it's a
It's a
it's a
full
mystery
featured mystery
shopping,
shop
exactly.
on
But we
steroids.
have the scoreboard that's very empirical. So anyhow, so that's what this benchmark came about. So when you do get, if you're one of the lucky brands that we included, you actually get a complete physical. You basically get a report on where you're doing well, where you are at par, where you are behind, um, across very minute details from the immersive or not so immersive product experience, right? To is your PDP have inventory information. People nowadays don't buy until they know exactly when they're gonna get it and how they're gonna get it,
Yeah.
right? To how seamless the checkout experience is, and to like, are you giving people buy online, pick up in store, buy online, returning store, changing delivery options and all of those, all the way to like, hey, I want to have a chatbot that I talk to so I can modify my order at 2 a.m. in the morning. And instead of talking to sometimes a real customer service rep, sometimes, different people have different preferences, right? So all of that, I hope we are giving the retail industry a roadmap. And I think it's quite exciting to give you a really pragmatic starting point that is scientific, yet overlaid with the consumer requirements.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love that. That's a long explanation,
Yeah.
but it's a long when you download it,
Sorry.
it's
Yeah.
a monster. No, it's just there's no easy way to describe it, Anne, and you did a great job of it because it is so full featured and it can be mind boggling. And so, to help our listeners, what are the most significant shifts between 2023 and 2025 benchmarks? And how have they, impacted specialty retail? Because both of these have been done after COVID and before
Yeah.
the tariffs. So it should be pretty um, comparable in what you would expect. We've come a long way and a lot of improvements, but maybe that didn't happen for some.
Well, I would say the shocker is that only 5% of the retailers are leaders. And there are 4 categories. You can be basic. You could be, let me see, let me make sure I get the right one. Basic, you could developing, you could be advanced, and you could be leading. I had to refer to my little report just to make sure I don't use the wrong phraseology. But so those are the 4 categories. Um, only 5% are leaders. And this is based on the benchmark results, obviously. So they're cohorts, right? So life is not a bell shape. Uh, it's not always going to be a great distribution, but you can tell based on the results that is a very small group. And I think part of this is because between 2023, right, when we first
Yeah.
met on this topic, and 2025, oh my lord, just read the paper every morning. The world has gone crazy. Okay, it's so much have changed. Us as consumer, first of all, have changed a lot. I mean, I don't remember in 2023 me buying my beauty regime off
Yeah.
Instagram or TikTok, right? 2023, I don't remember that many brands having their store associate, right? People like Lululemon and Sephora, they're not sales associates, they're influencers, they're beauty advisors, and they're educators. That's brand new, right? So I think consumers have changed a lot. And then, of course, with the economy the way it is, you know, we have a whole generation of young ones coming up. It's not just shopping, it's eco-friendly, it's sustainability, it's ethical retailing. There's a whole bunch of things. So I think consumer demand have gone way up, right? And it doesn't hurt. I mean, it doesn't help, honestly. The economy is going through so much right now that to do well, the speed of, I would say, retail innovation, the cycle has accelerated tremendously. The haves and have nots, what you can produce with innovation, the gap is growing, right? So, yeah, 5%. That was the biggest difference. And I think the attributes that differentiate some brand as leaders, it used to be real-time inventory visibility. It used to be BOPUS. Those were like things that make you a leader. Today, they're table stakes. So 35% of what we believe are the winning attributes 2 years ago are now table stakes.
That's a big change.
35%.
That's a big
It's a
change.
very big change. Yeah, for sure.
And the report had highlighted that 77% of retailers face rising acquisition costs. So, how can unified
Mm.
commerce strategies help them mitigate those costs?
Well, you have to do shopping, addressing and getting the mind share of your consumers really smartly. So this is where, AI power recommendation engine comes in.
There she is,
The
20
day's
minutes
gonna
in. She
come.
got the AI
I
in there,
know.
folks at home.
It is. The day's gonna be there, my digital twin, and will know everything about my size, color preferences, stylistic, choices, things like that, and then go off and on my behalf and go negotiate with all the retailers and then the payments and everything else, and they all gonna come together. Those days are pretty darn close, Bob. So I would say personalization, but smart personalization, whether you use machine learning or AI, honestly, that's kind of behind the scene, but know me. Know me as a consumer is very important. And you almost have to have immersive, if not experiential, shopping experiences
What does that mean to
nowadays.
you? What does that mean?
I think AR, VR, if you will, it's gonna come in, right? As we kind of move into this, digital twin space, if you will. Your ability to try on things, your ability to envision yourself, and today we're getting a proxy of that. You see a lot of influencers basically that in my demographics or your demographics, whatever the case might be, they're literally like showcasing, "Hey, this is my outfit. I'm going on vacation. I have 3 outfit." Right? I mean, this is what a lot of the store associates are doing nowadays. If you go to PacSun, they have a whole social media corner. Go to their LA store. It's awesome. And these are, kids, high school kids, some early college kids. They are literally recommenders of style.
Well, every
And if you go
person's
into
gotta be a brand.
Arc'teryx,
Every person's gonna be a brand, right, Ann? I mean,
oh,
that's
yeah,
that's the
we
point.
are, we are.
Yeah.
But that's a smart thing to do. So if you wanna lower your acquisition costs, you should not spray and pray, right? You should really know who your targeted, persona demographics groups are, and then have the conduit to get to them in a meaningful, relevant way, and preferably personalized way. That's how you lower your acquisition costs, and that when you do have them, and they even show any propensity to look into things, and they start a wish book or started a shopping cart of some kind, you should not lose that
Yeah.
cart. And when they get off the browser, coming to the store, they declare who they are with their mobile phone, whatever. You should continue that buyer's journey. You should not lose that connection, right? So there's a lot of things that I think we can do as retailers and as practitioners to really think about meaningful way to acquire buyers without, you know, putting a lot of smart thoughts and processes behind it.
Nice. Well, what are the
Yeah.
common gaps that retailers are facing in providing this unified, cohesive, customer journey? Because it all sounds great, right? Like, we'd all like to
Mm.
shop that way. But if only 5% of retailers are doing it, we're not shopping that way right now. We're still having to
Yeah.
go, hi, I'm Ann. I love that what you said. Oh, hi, I'm Ann. Oh, hi, I'm Ann. Right? I mean, so what are some
Yeah.
of the
Serious. Many
common
times.
gaps?
Yeah. I would say the first one, we started with personalization, not even doing it. That's a problem, right? But before you even do that, how about just create a database of your customers, right, to begin with, and give your, whether it's online, which is through your e-commerce engine, right, or in store, arm your sales associates with that information so they can even begin to serve Bob or Ann or whoever else. I would say that's number one. Number two is now you can begin to personalize. There's nothing like a greeting. Somebody says, instead of, oh, welcome, how about welcome Ann? How about welcome in, whether through the e-commerce side, social commerce, or in person, preferably? That is pretty awesome. And I would say the second thing that retailers can do to close this gap is, can you please, when you put a product there, people are looking at it, please add availability information there so they know, right? So we work with Google very closely. And if you run on Manhattan OMS, order management system, and Google Shopping would take all your listing, put it under Google Shopping, then all your PDPs actually has location of where that sweater is.
Wow,
And then now it's going to be integrated with Google Maps, so you can actually mouse over and it will show, who
that is
has what
cool.
merchandise and what the availability look like in store. You can expand the circumference, if you will, and then figure out how you can get to that good very quickly. Buyers are expecting a lot more information than just a very simple product description nowadays. So inventory, when they're ready to check out, please don't trip them up.
Love that
Make it
idea.
easy for them. Don't
Well,
trip them up. Let them go, right? Now, depends on the business. Some would prefer pure in-person checkout, but the checkout that is such a wonderful touch point, by the way. The brands that learn how to use checkout as a opportunity to build relationship. It's not a transaction, it's a conversation, right? That means you have to self-actualize. So all that payment, checkout information should be really easy the time that you do have with a customer. It's about talking about things that they care about. So you can have a, recommendation. Here's what's coming up. How can I help you more on certain subject? Oh, I noticed you had a return. Here are the alternatives they may want to think about. Now you have a dialogue, which is really important. Then I would say the last part is post purchase. People think once they bought, they're gone. No, no, no. That is the continuity that you need to establish to keep that dialogue going. So post purchase, once they submit the buy now button online or they sign in the store, a lot of them change their mind. And you know this, during the holiday season, the return rate is huge, north of 20%, right?
apparel's even higher. It's
How
like
do
half of that.
you
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so it depends on the type of merchandise, right? So how do you make that post-purchase experience seamless? And I know, many of our retailers actually purposely bring them back to the store because that's free. And then that give them an opportunity to save the sale, to expand, establish, and provide that extra touch point, and they let the machine, the automation take care of modification of order size, processing return, changing shipping address. All of that customer can do on their own. And by the way, even they return something, you really need to be really clear about keeping that relationship. So proactive communications about, oh, here's where your things are, here's the status of this, but be proactive. That earns the mind share just as importantly. So I would say, those are some of the things that
Excellent.
people can do, yeah, to
Excellent.
improve that experience. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Well, before we continue, we love our loyal listeners, and I'd appreciate it if you do me a favor and give us a 5-star rating after this episode. We return after this word from SalesRx online retail sales training. Hey, it's Bob again. I'm not only your host, but also the founder of the SalesRx online retail sales training program. How many sales that should have been yours walked out your front doors today? With shoppers being more discerning about where and when they shop, you need to convert more lookers to buyers. And SalesRx is the perfect solution to make training memorable. It's bite-sized and can fit easily into your schedules. Don't tell me you don't have time to train. If you can give them time to take a break, you have time for them to train. Now, the training builds from some of the quickest ways to engage shoppers to the most advanced. Everything is planned so you can implement your sales training program with a click of a button. And there's a reason we're on 4 continents training thousands, because SalesRx is scalable. Everybody learns the same new skills that will grow your sales. In fact, 83% of users report a double-digit increase in their sales within 6 months. Wouldn't you like that to be your story? Visit SalesRx to learn more and set up a call with me to see how we can help. That's SalesRx.com. Now back to the broadcast. All right, and we're back with Ann Ruckstuhl, technology engineer from Manhattan Associates, chief educator. And we did start to talk about it, so we have to go a little further about AI. So Gen AI and agentic workflows are emerging trends. So how do you think they're going to reshape this unified commerce in the next few years?
Oh boy, it's
And
as
you
big
have
as your
you have only 2 minutes
imagination
to
can
answer.
take you. I know. Okay. So let's start with the mundane, right? Because Gen AI is supposed to make the mundane automated so we can do something more interesting, right? So I think we talk a little bit about, I want to change my order. It happens all the time. I'm going to my sister's house, so instead of shipping it to me, send it to my sister's house. Oh, I changed my mind. I think I lost enough weight that I can wear a medium instead of a large, whatever the case might be. Let the consumer use AI to talk to a chatbot. The difference is the chatbot doesn't just come back and say, here's how you do it. You still have to go do it. Now the chatbot sits on top of your order information. It can not just hear, it can implement for you on your behalf. So that's like what I consider to be foundational. And it's good for brands because customer can self-service anytime, right? And then you can deflect, I don't know, 60% of the calls that are coming into your contact center. That's a huge cost savings. Then on top of it, your customer sat goes up. What's not to like? So I would say this is the first place that this can come in. But I also think the personalization part of it is going to be big. We are going to opt in to different AI powered personalization engines, and each retailer may have their own because you can set up a profile, but then they can get to you and give you exactly what you're looking for and proactively let you know what's coming out. So that's another place that AI is going to come in a major way. So yeah, I think AI is gonna be, across that 4 part of the buyer's journey. You're gonna see it kicking in on shopping, kicking in on checkout. Now you can walk out without having to do anything. In the future, it's gonna be even more seamless than that, right? And same thing with fulfillment. We already have agentic agents, for example, orchestrating supply chain today. It's listening to weather, is listening to labor strike, any traffic congestion because somebody always causing something in some canal somewhere, right? Fuel cost, tariffs, which is a big thing. They're trying to figure out how to get the goods and services. And we have agentic AI capability that makes sure your supply chain is actually pivoting on a dime to get the inventory to the right place at the right time in the right quantity and the right assortment, whether it's replenishment or allocation. So that's huge because you can't retail something that you don't have,
That's the key.
right? So that's happening. So across all the 4 areas, and I mentioned customer service, which is the 4th part, uh, it's really the sky is the limit, if you will. But most
Well,
importantly, they need to have a North Star. They need to make sure the customer experience is
yeah,
really good.
I think
Don't freak
we've
them out.
we've
Yeah.
all had those bots where you're trying to self-select and it's just a bot. It's not helping you. It has no AI underneath it. It's just a bot, and it's just so frustrating. It's like that push 1 for push 2 for push 3, and you're just like, dear God, can I just talk to a human being? And so I'm waiting to see an agentic agent on a chatbot with me because I haven't had that experience. I just get really
Well,
frustrated.
come over to we'll talk afterwards. I'll
Okay,
show you
good.
one.
All right, that's good.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
getting towards the end of our time here today. I have 2 more questions for you, but one of them is for those retailers you talked about in a developing maturity level. So what's the
Yep.
critical investment they've got to add to get to advanced or leading status? And I mean the one investment,
Mm.
right? So it's obviously work with Manhattan Associates, but what else about that? So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I, you know, I hate to do this to you, Bob, but the answer depends. It really is. It really depends because the first thing they need to do is understand what they're doing well today and what they're not doing well and prioritize. Every brand is different. Some brands got that shopping experience figured out beautifully, but they cannot tell you where the inventory is. They don't have a unified inventory plan. They don't know what's in the trucks, what's in the distribution center, what are in the stores, a collection of which, and how to. That it seems to be a common issue. That is, frankly, of all the brands that we survey, the lowest performing area is fulfillment still. Um, but then again, it depends on the brand. So you really have to know yourself to know where to begin. But I would say inventory from if I look at the aggregate of what the benchmark looked at. Inventory is the biggest issue. Okay. The second part is you're not utilizing your sales associates. Take a chapter from Lululemon, take a chapter from Sephora. Arc'teryx had this thing called the product guide. That's all the gears that you go, outdoor skiing, fishing, mountain climbing, all of those things. But that experience that you get through a product guide, it is awesome, right? And they're here to shepherd you through the whole thing. And I think Nordstrom, for example, just hired a power player who's going to be the personal shopping clienteling lead, right? That's the world that we're evolving towards. We're moving towards that direction. Know me, serve me. But first, you have to know them,
yeah.
right? So, inventory, I would say the whole know your customers and empower your sales associates. And there's a statistic, you may have seen that on UCB. People think online and offline, two different things. Turns out your online purchase, 39% higher if your sales associate actually can influence a decision. They may not buy in the store, they buy on your online e-commerce site or social commerce site later. So take advantage of all your wonderful sales associates. My first job in retail, and empower them to do what they do well, so that they're not stuck all their time in the back room counting Beanie Babies,
Oh, that's a
but they
great
can
way.
actually help the kids.
That
Yes,
that's a great way to think. But I want you to. So my last question I ask every guest: tell me something good about retail.
it is a joy. It is fun. And I hope all the retailers make it less painful on the transactional part of it. But it is a fun thing, and it's only going to get more fun and retail anytime, anywhere. The way that we're going, you don't have to be on 24/7, but it certainly is going to be a joy when I do want to shop. It's going to be a fun, personalized experience, so I don't waste time. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Anne. And here's to a group of people in the leaders that is double what we saw this year. How's that?
That sounds good to me.
Thanks, Anne.
You've been listening to Tell Me Something Good About Retail with Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doctor. As a listener, you can receive free information and guides when you visit retaildoc.com and sign up for our exclusive weekly newsletter. Thanks for being with us. Remember to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you like to get your podcasts. To virtually bring Bob to all of your crew and associates, check out www.salesrx.com.